Hello, sysfailure here again, and welcome back to my Redstone Basics series. First off, an apology. It has been about at least a month since the last episode. Been quite busy with other things and setting all the videos things up, and it did take a little while, so apologies for that. If you've missed episode 1, it's just popping up in the corner now. There we go. And that's on the various components that everything's built out of. And episode 2, which is just in the corner there, that's on the transfer of power. Now, I have already filmed this episode 3, but once I worked my way through this entire facility that I've built with little examples for you, it ended up weighing in 45 minutes of solid information. So I've decided to reshoot it as some smaller episodes for you. So I believe this is going to be 4 episodes. That should be 3, 4, 5, and 6. I will upload them back to back, so you're not going to have to wait ages this time. But we'll move on with episode 3 first off. We're going to start by looking at logic gates. Now, here we have our most simple type. This is an input-output gate. Now, a lot of people won't even consider this to be a gate, but it is actually a gate. And it works on the principle, whatever goes in is what goes out. So in this case, it's off, so the output's off. Turn it on, and the output's on. Absolutely as simple as you can get for the gate. No easier way of explaining it. Its opposite is the NOT gate, or inverter. Now, previously I showed that torches, if you put power into them, will turn off, and if they're not powered, will be on, which is obviously the opposite. So, input is off, output is on, turn the input on, and the output is off. That's quite simple. These are the basics of the other gates as well. So everything sort of builds and works its way up with these. The next quite common type of gates that you will see is the AND gate and the NAND gate. Now, what this basically means is AND will only work if, we'll call them A and B for the one. If A is on and B is on, then that will allow it to turn on here. It's actually running through a double NOT gate. So this being on means that that's off. That being off means that that's on. That's just the way AND gates work. Quite simple. I'll just hop over it so you can have a look. I'll also mention all these are actually up on the wiki, and there's also various other examples of the various things I'm going to show you. But I won't run through all of them as there's a horrendous amount of possibilities, basically. But they all work on the same basic principles, that's just so you know. Anyway, the NAND is the NOT AND gate. So here, A and B are off. Turn one of them on, still doesn't matter. Turn that one on, doesn't matter. But if A and B are on, then the output is not on, so not when they're AND. Which is the same as the AND gate, but actually a bit simpler because we're not running through a double inverter. You can see it's just dust going through there. So always remember, your standard version and your N version are the opposites of each other, and often happen by having one as an inverter after and one not as an inverter. Right, so that's your AND and your NAND. We move on. Another quite simple one here is your OR gate, and obviously you probably guessed the NOR gate, the not OR, which is just like this one but is inverted. Works in principle that if A is on, there's an output. If B is on, there's an output. So A or B will produce an output. And if we turn both on, we still get an output. NOR works the opposite. A or B, or A and B on, then you don't get an output. So the opposite of this one, basically. So they're fairly simple as well. As you can see, they're your more simple gates. Now, we're getting a little more complex around here, however. We only have a couple of gate cells to go. This is our XOR gate, and this is our XNOR gate. Now, the X, that stands for exclusive. So, if you remember from this one just round the corner here, we just hop back round, I can have A or B, but if I have both on, it still works, as it really doesn't matter. In the case of an exclusive OR gate, if I have A on, I get output. If I have B on, I get output. But if I put both on, I lose my output, as it's exclusive, will only accept one OR, won't have both on. And obviously the exclusive NOR is the opposite. I'll show you the gates in a second. I've got an output with both of them off. If I turn A on, it immediately goes down. If I turn B on, I'll actually get it to go up. And turn A off, but B on, and it goes back down again. So it only works in the states where there's not a single OR. So both off, both on. Now, I'm going to attempt to describe what's going on with these, just so you have an idea. They are a little bit confusing to look at, I will admit. We can ignore the bit at the end at the moment, because all it is we're running this gate into an inverter. So that gives us our NOT and an opposite output. So what it really is our AND gate here. I do apologise if I don't explain this very well. This is our AND gate running out here. I'll demonstrate on this one just so it's a bit more something you know what's going on. So if I turn on our B here, it obviously turns this off and this off, which means we're enabling power to come out of here and activate that. So that's all fine. If we do this one, that's the same. Turns that route off, allows the power here, and goes to our output. Now, the important part is the middle here. Now, you saw the AND gate round the corner. If we do both of them, this will turn off, this will turn off, and that will allow this to turn on. And when this is on, it will do the same as this, and it will power that line, turning that one off, power that line, turning that one off. So just demonstrate. There you go. So these are off, but it allows this on, which turns them off. That's why we'll only accept one or the other. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. I'm just going to hop over the top again so you can have a look. Feel free to pause it and see if you can sort of figure it out yourself. I'd also recommend giving it a build and a little fiddle with. Anyway, that's your XOR and your XNOR gates. Now, the final sort of gate I'm going to show is the implies gate. Now, I'm going to try and explain this one in my way of explaining it, as I've even read the description on the wiki, and to be honest, it still doesn't quite make sense to me. But relying on the principle that if A is off, then or false, then we can assume that no matter what, B is effectively true. So A being false implies that B is true no matter what. If, however, A is allowed to become true, so given power, it then means that B can be false or it can be true. So in a way you can sort of consider it a lock, as it were. And it's just a simple case of running into an inverter here and also having another power line for this one. So this obviously can't turn that power off as it's already been powered there. But if this line does turn that off, this can go on and off from that switch. So that's an implies gate. I don't use them very often personally, but they do have their uses. Right, we're just going to run through the final couple of things in this episode. So hopefully you're still following on this one. We're looking at the multiplexer, or the MUX, and the relay, which is also the demultiplexer. Now, just have a look at them first. I obviously have a line coming in here, and a line coming in here. We'll call them A and B again. And they come into the line, into the repeater, pass through the block, and supply power out here. Now, this one obviously doesn't go into a block, but I'll come to that part in a second. So if I have an input from A, I obviously have it going through and powering the output. Now along comes this part and switches the input, so that I've got two inputs running to one output. In this case, there's no input from this one, so it now means there is no output. As you can see there, I'll get stuck on the ceiling. If I were to have one on B, see, works just like that, and I can swap over to A, which could easily be off. These can actually have slightly more use now that the 1.5 update came out. You could put comparators into place here, and you could actually pass through analog signals so that you could have different length inputs coming in. Now, if that's a multiplexer and this is a demultiplexer, then it quite frankly does the opposite. So I have one input here, which if I turn on, you'll see it tries to power both of these repeaters, goes into this block, which is outputted there, and goes to output 1. If I switch the relay, I now take my one input and I switch it to the opposite output. So it relays it to a different direction, hence relay. So they're basically the opposite of each other. That one's multiple into 1, and that one's 1 into multiple. Simple enough. Final little thing I want to show this episode is the ABBA switch. Now that's nothing to do with a 1970s band. It's actually an ABBA switch. Now, if you've ever built a Jeb door or seen them, you may well have used something similar to this. But what it basically does, if we say this is output A and this is output B, then it turns them on in the AB order, but it turns them off in the BA order. So I should just demonstrate that. AB, BA. Now, I'll just explain how this actually works as well. So our power comes in here, and one tick into there, and that goes up. That's our first one. Now this one takes a further 4 ticks because of this repeater here before this goes up. And then once it reaches here, 4 ticks later, powers this block. This block obviously is already powered, so it has no effect in that moment in time. So that means in the startup sequence, 1 tick to turn this one on, 5 ticks to turn that one on. That's where that happens. Now this is the important part of the loop. So when this power goes off, turns that off after 1 tick. This takes 4 to turn off, and another one, so 5. So after 5 ticks, this turns off, but there's still another 4 ticks of power running into this block, even though this one is off. And that's why this one goes off after that one. Let's see if I can just get over it so you can have a look if you watch them carefully. So on and off. There are different ways of building these, as I mentioned, but these are just a few of the ones. So that's pretty much it for episode 3. Episode 4 is going to be on clocks, which are just through here. So thanks for watching, and the next episode will be up shortly after this one. And that's about it. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye.